All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Commercial Multifamily Masterminds. We are a member of the GOB network of apartment investors. Welcome, welcome everyone. So, the GOB mission. The GOB network, we seek to democratize commercial real estate by mentoring and deal making, by providing the resources to close investment properties and improve returns. To make this simplified, the GOB network is an educational platform that provides network and support for investors to help you get your deal across the finish line. The mastermind mission, our mission here as a mastermind group is to get rid of that competitive mindset and to have the mastermind mindset. It is here where we will do everything in our power to assist you in getting your investment opportunity across that finish line. We have new investors here. We have seasoned. We have accredited. We have non-accredited. We have people who want to be KPs, sponsors, GPs, LPs, you name it, we got it. So welcome to the Commercial Multifamily Masterminds, and we are a member of the GOB network of apartment investors. The mastermind principle, the coordination of knowledge and effort of two or more people who work toward a definite purpose in the spirit of harmony. Okay, so we would not have the GOB if it wasn't for a man who had a vision. And he saw something that was, I think, way ahead of his time. But he saw that vision. So I would like to introduce the founder, the creator of the GOB network, Mr. Jim Biggs.
Daryl, appreciate it. So I think most everyone knows that that we started the GOB network as a member-driven platform to help people get more deals done. Whether you're a new investor that has no clue how to get started, or whether you're a seasoned investor and are just looking for more net worth or liquidity or other pieces that you might be missing from your team. And as an example of that, we are sponsoring a 134 unit deal in Houston with members of the GOB and that are all on the platform in Houston. It is a 506c for accredited investors only, but that's an example of a few guys that started their company. They're all Navy officers, and came to us because they hadn't done any bigger deals. They had quite a number of deals under their belt, had started small and grown exponentially, as we advise a lot of people to do. And when they got to the point that they didn't have enough money, enough network and experience, they came to us and we helped them sponsor that deal. So I just want to use that as an example of what we're trying to do to help everybody that's on the platform. And it's available for anyone. If you're interested, just go visit thegobnetwork.com, and we're extremely proud to be affiliated with Daryl and this meetup and have them as part of the GOB network and one of our founding members. Thank you, Daryl.
All right. Thank you, Jim. So the GOB also works, as you already know, we look to collaborate and work with others that are members of the GOB. And we call them, that is, I call them, our family members. Now, I know the holidays are here, and there's going to be probably a lot of our extended family members that are not here today. But those that are here, I'm going to introduce, starting off with Mr. Mark Gross. Mark, tell everybody how you're a family member.
Sure. Thank you very much, Daryl. Good morning to you and everybody. I'm with CSSI, which is Cost Segregation Services, and what we do is provide accelerated depreciation studies that help you and others reduce their IRS taxes through our studies. Over the last 20 years, we've completed over 30,000 studies, and I'm working on projects now all across the country and all property types. So my information is in the chat. Let me know if I can provide a free preliminary analysis for any property nationwide. Thanks, Daryl.
Daryl, I think you're frozen.
Yeah.
Well, on to our next family member. We have Badri Malinor.
Hey, Alicia, thanks for stepping in. I'm sure Daryl is happy too. Hey, Daryl is back and is moving. I think it's real, or it's one of those computer-generated images, right? So
yeah.
Badri Malinor from Avestor. I think I've talked to many of you. We have a new type of fund called a customizable fund, which is essentially a replacement for doing syndications. And it's a combination of blind funds and syndications. If I would love to talk to you more about it. If you have not heard about customizable funds, I think many of you already have, and some of you have already created funds on the platform. And the other thing, I'll put my information in the chat window. And the other thing I wanted to mention is we have now started negotiating with sponsors for who want to raise capital using the funds on our platform. We have more than 50 funds on the platform. So you can imagine the power of 50 funds raising capital for your project. So if you're willing to give special terms to fund of fund managers, the usual GP shares and other elements, please reach out to me as well. Thanks for the opportunity, Dal.
All right, thank you. Do we have any more of our partners, family members here? Chris Peters, is he here? No, no one else. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. Oops, that's not it. Okay. For commercial multifamily masterminds, we have a Facebook page, and I would encourage all to please join the commercial multifamily Facebook page. We provide information, and we try to stay up to date with what's going on the market, stuff like that. Okay. Now, to join the page, there are 3 questions. See that? Question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, right? So there are 3 questions that must be answered. If you don't answer the questions, you won't be accepted into the page. So please answer the questions and so forth, right? We are a closed group, so that's one reason why we have it. Next, the GOB, the page itself. So if you would like to join the GOB, come on over here to G Network, right there, gobnetwork.com, and click on register, right? And then fill out this information, right? Now, this is very important right here. See this right here? Sponsored by. You must put the email address of the person who sponsored you, who recommended you, who told you about the GOB. Put their email and put their name. Do not put your email, do not put your name. It holds up the process of getting you approved into the network, okay? And now, if you would like to connect with me here on LinkedIn, please feel free. I'm located here, Down Murphy Sr., and shoot me over a little message when you want to connect with me. Just say, hey, we met on your mastermind or at some conference, wherever we may have met. And I will go ahead and talk with you, okay? Then come and subscribe, because we always have content and information now. So please come over to Commercial Multifamily Masterminds, our YouTube page, and subscribe. We have news, interviews, some information. We even have Lacey. See there, Lacey, right there? So we even have Lacey up here. So come on over here and subscribe. I could definitely use all the help to get my numbers up. Okay. So brokers, owners. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say, listen, we're looking to take down investment opportunities. And you are the only ones that can really give us that opportunity. The owners, you have investment properties that I know you're going to be selling at some point in time. So I'm asking you, seller, to bring that investment opportunity here to the Commercial Multifamily Masterminds. We have the resources, we have the capabilities to take that property down. So I'm asking you to bring it here. Brokers, you're here, you're coming here. I'm asking you, when you get that deal, that first one, that off-market one, before you pick up that phone, to call those people on the buyer's list, bring that investment opportunity right here. Right here. Because we could take it down, and you know we can. How do you know? Listen here. The GOB has over 6,500 doors under management. And I didn't even count the 24 that we have in Dayton, Texas. Right? So you know we closed on Dayton, Texas, what? December 16th? We closed. So the GOB is doing things. All right. And there's a lot that's going on. So brokers, owners, listen. We have 4 days left. 4. We're looking for investment opportunities. Can you bring us a deal right now that we can evaluate, see if the numbers make sense, and submit an LOI before December 31st? Let's take out this year with a property going under contract. All right. So updates. Alicia, any updates? Tell everyone about the GOB Queens.
Thanks, Daryl. Yes, hi, everyone. Good morning. Happy to share with you that we have GOB Inc., which is Get On Board Investor Network Queens. We are here and we are a strong moving force of lady female investors that are helping to close deals, take down opportunities, and also teach and mentor in the process. We have a number of ladies who are a part of our group that are on the call. And if you're interested, guys, sorry you can't show up, but the leading lady in your life can. So reach out to Lacey, Sonia, or I if you have any questions, if you want to know more about our group, or you want to be invited to our masterminds, which are every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I'll drop some information in the chat as well. Thanks, Daryl.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Any updates? Anything that you're working on that you may need help with? Anything that that you may need answers to, questions?
So Daryl, I got some updates.
Come off mic, come on.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Reggie.
All right. I got some updates. I will be starting the meetings back up every Saturday, the underwriting meetings coming up after this holiday. As far as the meetup groups, I have been talking with and I should know her name. Tish. She's on here as well. So I've been talking with her. I'm sorry. I don't want to butcher your name, but I've been talking with her. She has a spot, may have a spot for me up in the KW. So I'm gonna see about that. But I will be trying to put those meetings together every month. So Mark Gross and a lot of you other guys that's on here, I will be reaching out to some of you guys for speakers, Alicia, Daryl, to come to some of these meetings that may be online and some may be in person as well. And I'll be working with Scott. Scott then will be definitely helping me, and he's on the call as well to help organize some of my meetups that I'm going to be having in Atlanta. So that's what's coming up, and that's what's new.
Hey,
All
Reginald, it's Tondalea, the name you were
Tondalea, there you go, Tondalea. So
but
yeah,
I'm used to it. Everybody just calls me T.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got your text the other day. I didn't get a chance because I didn't know if you were out for the rest of the year. But you are good to go. I just got to find out your schedule, but the team leader said no problem.
Okay.
As long as it doesn't interfere with anything they're having going on Saturdays, but they don't normally have anything here on Saturdays. So you and I need to get together, put some dates.
Okay.
And then I can share it with them and I can put them on our office calendar.
All right. Well, there you guys have it right there. So it is in the works. So there we have it. Thank you, Tom.
All right.
You're welcome. No problem.
Fantastic. That's a blessing. That's fantastic right there. So I also want to bring a little information to everyone here. We have the Acquisition Summit that is coming up. This is a 3-day event. Now, this event is straight
Well, I'm pretty sure what
Acquisition
he was
Summit.
saying was this event is straight in Arizona. Take it away, Daryl.
You froze up.
Did I freeze again?
Yeah,
You did.
froze up.
Man, my internet is wow. I can't believe
It's
it.
frozen because it's
Yeah.
freezing up there, just like it is here.
Yeah. So it's going to be in Phoenix, Arizona, April 3rd 4th, and 5th. We're going to be rolling out the information pretty soon, but I'm telling you right now, save the date, because this acquisition summit, we are going with the intention of taking down a property. We're going to get this sucker under contract. So be prepared. Put it in your calendars. Just open up your calendars right now and just put it in there. April 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Phoenix, Arizona. The acquisition summit. And we're going to be, listen, we're going to be, I won't, let's go there in numbers. All right, let's go in numbers. Anything else? I was going to present an investment opportunity. However, I've just been informed by the broker that the opportunity was awarded to okay, so this was in reference to Duncanville, Texas. Over the holiday, some new numbers had came out. So I updated the underwrite and the numbers came out a lot better. However, I guess someone else was had also got the latest numbers and they beat me to the punch. But so they came in close to the whisper. I was still running about 15.5, 15.1, 15.2, something like that. No, 15.4. But we got beat out. They also came in with hard money day one. So as I wasn't definitely looking at going hard day one, but they're going hard day one. So the seller definitely took that offer, and that's that. Okay. Anyone have a deal? All right. Well, we have a guest speaker today. His name is Mr. Kevin Brunner. Mr. Kevin Brunner, please introduce yourself, give everybody a little history about you and what you do, and then go ahead and take it away.
Well, old school farm boy, grew up on a dairy farm. You learn how to get up at 4 a.m. without an alarm clock. You learn that work's not done just because it's 5 o'clock. The work's done when the work's done. And I learned that I hate cows. So I was in the Marine Corps 7 years, was an entrepreneur. I even built a business while I was in high school. I may more money my senior year than my school teachers were making. It's a landscaping business. So I turned mowing lawns into 2 commercial crews and a residential crew. I was doing payroll while in high school. So I've always been an entrepreneur. Worked for some defense contractors, a former commander, bought and turned around a couple of companies, got tired of defense contracting, didn't want to go to the Middle East again. My financial advisor convinced me to become one. And he'd been my grandfather's advisor, my dad's advisor. And immediately, the people that I talked to on my list said, you know, you can have all my accounts, Kev, known you for years. I'm sure you'll do as well as my guy. Yeah, and we all have the same tools available to us. Some are better at using the tools than others, but the main question was taxes. Can you help me with my taxes? I'm not getting any good ideas out of my CPA. He says, buy a new truck. I don't need a new truck. You know, buy this and get a deduction, buy that. Well, I don't need to buy anything. I need to get my taxes down. So as a financial advisor, I got into tax planning immediately, and the broker that held my license, is who you answer to, didn't want me doing that. Reason is the client gets audited, then he might get sued. So you're not allowed to give this advice. So it became a real problem. So 9 months into being a financial advisor, thankfully I was in a financial position to do it because it's very expensive to do it. I went fully independent. I am my own broker. I answer to the SEC. I answer to the state. I'll answer to anybody else but the client. There's nobody in between. I use other brokers, but I'm their client. I can fire them at any time. So I turn the tables on them. And I walked out the door with all my clients, and 5 other advisors followed me. So that firm closed 2 years later. So they should have let me stick with the tax advice, right? Immediately, I had a friend of mine, I wasn't even licensed a year, said, hey, I went to this seminar. I learned how to use a trust to sell this apartment building and defer all the taxes without a 1031. I can't find the materials. if you'd figure that out for me, I'd like to get rid of this building. It was in a bad area of South LA. He had inherited it from his father 30 years earlier, and he'd already depreciated it out. So his basis was really low, but he wanted to exit, but he didn't want a 1031. And he wanted to get out of being a landlord. And there are a lot of landlords out there that don't want to be in the game we're in. They're done, or they don't know that they're done and they're just holding on. And so I started doing a lot of research. I found a lot of methods for doing that. Most of them will get you audited in trouble. But I found a very solid method that came from some tax attorneys at Ernst & Young. Now, Ernst & Young created the program for their own partners to sell their partnership interest back to the company, but defer the tax on it. So this came out of the 1970s. So we do it two ways. And being that all of you are pretty savvy, I'll talk a little faster with you guys. All right, we use a trust or we use a special purpose vehicle, depending which one the client wants us to use. One's a form of a Missouri business purpose trust. The other one's LLC out of Delaware with a very unique operating agreement. But either way, it allows you to sell highly appreciated assets and defer the tax. Now, how does that apply to all of you? How many of you know an old landlord that has a so-so building in a nice part of town, and it's that one building on the street of all these nice apartment buildings that kind of looks like 1980? He never raises the rents because somebody might move, right? So he's just holding out. He's holding out until he dies. He's got it in his head, if I just hold out until I die, the wife and I are going to curl up in bed together like the movie The Notebook, and we're going to die together, and the kids will inherit the property, get a step up in basis. Life is not that kind. I do estate planning. I train estate planning. Life's not that kind. The Apartment Owners Association of America back in 2005 did a survey, and they surveyed a little less than 1,000. Took them a while to put it together. 1 in 5 mom and pop investment properties makes it to the next generation, and the numbers have gotten worse since then. 1 in 5. They're sold early, the taxes are paid for several reasons. Here's the reason. Dad's in a home, doesn't know the day of the week. Mom needs more liquidity because real estate's illiquid. They own a little apartment building. She sells it, pays the tax because she needs the money. Or they refinance it. Now their mortgage payment's higher. They have less income. They're just digging their hole deeper, right? To get liquidity. Dad's dead. Mom doesn't want to be a landlord. If they owned it correctly, they got to step up in basis on half. All right. She got what's left. She's living on it. She's consuming it. Mom's in a home. Kids need more money to take care of mom. It's sold early. Taxes are paid because they need the money to take care of mom. Out of the 1 in 5 that make it to the next generation that survive, 50% of those are an only child. And most are listed and sold within 6 months because the kids divided the money and frittered away. I've watched this happen again and again and again. I have people over the years that told me I'm not going to sell no matter what. And they hold on, and guess what? We find out what happened. Mom and dad both died 3 months apart in their 80s. And the kids listed it, sold it, divided up the money, frittered it away. So if you want your properties to go to the next generation, and you have more than one child, you have to plan ahead for that. It's very difficult. But how do you plan for all the things that are going to happen in that last 5 years of your life? Life's not that kind during those 5 years. I'm presently caring for my parents that are 90 and 92, and they don't know what day of the week it is, but they cook and they clean and do laundry, and dad's really good at ironing. He's a great cook. They don't have any idea what day of the week it is. I talked to him 3 times on Christmas. Had to remind him it was Christmas all 3 times. So thankfully, I can afford a living caretaker that lives with them, all right, and provides this so they can stay in their home. So how does this affect you? That old building in the nice neighborhood, that if it had a new owner, would be renovated, the driveway slurry coated, new garage doors, you know, nice kitchens, and rented out at market rate. Okay, now you have new rent rolls and a new appraisal. Very different value of the building after you bought it from this old landlord that doesn't put a single dollar back into it that he doesn't have to. All right, because he's not thinking, you know, he's just holding on, right, until he dies. You guys can pick up that building and I can help you get it. In fact, I can help you pick it up with 80% of the money because the trustee carries back 20% for 36 months. That gives you dry powder and time to do the renovations. Now you get a new appraisal with the new rent rolls and all the improvements to the building. You pull out the cash you put into it. I have a client, an Armenian gentleman up here in LA, buys 2 properties a year, follows this exact model. Most of them use me. And when he refinances 12 to 18 months later, he's got 30% equity and no money in the deal. None of his money's in the deal anymore. And any money he put in that building, he got back out, and he's looking for the next building. All right, he's also a contractor, as a contractor's business. So he's always got 2 buildings in that process. He renovates them, cleans them up, rents them out at market rate, refinances, gets his cash out, goes on to the next building. All right, he's a very shrewd gentleman. He and I get along very well. I would not want to be on the other side of his transactions, though. But by us carrying back, the person that sold the building gets income from the trust rather than from the building. So the income hasn't changed. They have liquidity with the trust. So when all those life's emergencies happen, they have a solution to those emergencies. They don't have to sell the building, pay all the tax, lose it all. And they can structure the trust in a way that the income continues and the appreciation, the assets in the trust appreciate. I'll go into that and I'll move pretty quickly through it. But save your questions till the end, because I'll probably answer most of them before we get to the end of it. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A so you can ask some questions. So any of those things come up, we have no idea what's going to happen in the last 5 years of life. Maybe you will curl up in bed together and both pass away at the same time, like the movie The Notebook, but probably not. That's just probably not how it works out, okay? You'll probably have a live-in caretaker at $4,000 a month. And because when she's not there, she has a person that fills in. So there's 24 hours a day, somebody there. And if once they go into a regular home that handles dementia, we're talking in California, we're talking $12,000 a month, $8,000 to $12,000 a month. I have a couple that I'm looking at close to my house here. My parents are 2 hours away. So I'm watching this in my own family. I've seen this repeatedly with clients. You can be a solution to these old landlords and pick up a property and get a good deal by using me to get them to engage. The other thing is, by engaging from our direction, you learn things about the seller that help you understand. All right. Very often the seller doesn't want entirely out of real estate. So instead we bring them a partner that buys out part of it and they stay part in the deal. Okay. There's just several ways you can structure the deal this way. The thing gives them liquidity, gives them what they need, what they really want. Why are we buying apartment buildings? Income. It's an income play. Let's face it. It's an income play with a lot of tax advantage, pass-through depreciation, stuff like that. What do these apartment owners want? They want the income to go to their heirs and continue. Now, they don't want it to go to their kids because our kids are a pain in the ass, right? They want it to go to their grandkids because, as we all know, grandkids can do no wrong. They're just little angels. They're perfect, right? And that's what grandma and grandpa want, is to make sure those grandkids don't have student loans, don't have all these other things. I want to make sure my kids and grandkids can take that job working for a nonprofit and can afford to do it, right? They have enough income from another source, they can afford to do it. I have a daughter that's a school teacher. They don't make much. In Las Vegas, they're paid okay, but not what she could earn with her master's degree somewhere else. But she has income from a trust that subsidizes her lifestyle so she can afford to be a teacher, right? We want them to have those opportunities because, as we know, generation after generation, it's getting harder. It's getting harder to get into the 1%. And it'll continue to get harder. So we want to give these kids every leg up possible, all right? And you never know. I had a brother with cerebral palsy, lived 17 years. He was an incredible financial burden to my parents. We don't regret it. You know, we're not here to take care of them, special needs children. God sent them to teach us some lessons, all right? So you want to have these resources for your family. So how can you help this old landlord let go of the property so you can improve the neighborhood, improve the property, and we all make money? Because they don't want to do a 1031. They don't want to go into a DST because of all the expenses and lack of control. And then you get 90 days notice that you got to get out or pay the taxes. They don't generally want to go into a REIT. You offer them an installment sale trust and let me help you get the deal. How do we make a living? We manage the trust. We don't ask for part of your deal, okay? and we can give you better terms. So as you all know, in negotiating, there's two things, price or terms. All right, so what do? You always offer full price, always offer full price and negotiate terms, negotiate terms, negotiate terms. And when they don't want to give you a term, well, then you got to start working on price, because sometimes terms are worth more than price. Sometimes terms can be worth way more than price. With us, you can carry back 20%. You only got to come up with 80% of the money. All right, so we'll show you how to do that. Am I able to share my screen real quick? I am? Okay, all right. All right, I hope you all can see that. Somebody yell at me and let me know you can see it.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, all right. The installment sale trust. We didn't invent this. It's all an Ernst & Young program taught to us by Ernst & Young tax attorneys. In fact, all of our documents that we use were provided to us by the same tax attorneys, okay? We have a whole group of people involved in all of this. CB Administrative Services is the administrator of the special purpose vehicles. If we use those or the installment sale trust, they are fiduciary trustees. This is my financial firm, Q Financial. We use these companies to underwrite because, by the way, when the person passes away, if they put $1 million in the trust, the day they pass away, their heirs inherit the trust, what it's grown to, plus a $2 million death benefit from one of these three companies tax-free, over and above the trust. So it's a huge boon for this old landlord to do this, okay? Moss Levy Hartzheim is a large CPA accounting firm in LA. They audit cities and counties, and those are the financials the cities and counties use to issue muni bonds. They do our financials and they do the tax returns for all of our entities. Boston Private, Cambridge Trust, and City National Bank, we're using City National most of the time right now. These are the trust departments that all the bank accounts go through. So there's security for the guy selling. The person selling has to log into the accounts with a 6-digit code and approve anything we do. Nobody's Bernie Madoffing any money. They have control, all right? Our trading for securities is done through Charles Schwab's platform because inside the trust, we make investments. Now, sometimes the investments in the trust are other properties. In other words, these people can then invest with you, but they don't have to do 1031. They don't carry over the low basis like a 1031. They get to buy the next property at full value and redepreciate all over again. So this is a way for you guys to have a seller for you to pick up the property and he can stay in the real estate game and invest with you. He just has to direct the trustee to do that, all right? These are my different marketing entities. Tax-free use the real estate. Sell My Business Now is for business brokers. I used to own Link Business. If you look at linkbusiness.com, I was the franchisor for the US and I own the Los Angeles franchise, had 37 business brokers working for me. My wife was warning me and I heard the same complaints from her as I did my first wife. So I sold the business and I spend more time at home now because I don't want to be a better husband. So Sell My FDX. This is FedEx contractors. We get referrals from FedEx corporate. All right, so we do on a slow month about 6 contractors use our services so they don't get taxed on the whole thing. All right, this is a law firm, Fortune law firm in Las Vegas we work with very heavily. Q Financial Consultancy Trust is for foreign clients that want to keep their money in the US, want to defer the tax, and want to use our services. A lot of Chinese clients, latest ones from Chile, Argentina, Spain, Germany, 2 from the UK, and a couple from Canada, just this last year. So we're very busy with foreign clients. I've been featured in Forbes twice. I was an advisor for 6 months when I wrote a white paper on how to have 50% more retirement income and less risk. My first firm would not let me use the white paper with clients. They wouldn't approve it. It's part of the reason I left them. The reason is the broker makes half as much money. Client gets 50% more, but the broker makes less. So it's not allowed. It wasn't an approved strategy, so I resigned. I later had a radio show called the Smart Money Hour on KABC for years, something else I quit at the same time I sold the business brokerage. And then I was featured as a featured advisor in Forbes the second time. Use this with clients. If you guys do want to do a screenshot, by the way, screenshot anything I'm doing. Anything you see here, you want to grab a screenshot, have at it, okay? The yellow is what gets us all in trouble. People bring you new ideas, stuff like that. The green is the things you know. You're very aware of what you know. The red is the things you're very aware you don't know. I don't speak Portuguese. I can order a meal and get directions in Spanish. I don't speak Portuguese though. All right. And I'm aware of it. The yellow is the things you don't even know you don't even know. And that's what gets us in trouble, because you've watched a video or you heard something, you think you know something about it, and you have a paradigm. And your paradigm interferes with what somebody's trying to teach you, and you make up your mind early. There's a lot of people that miss out on massive opportunities because of the yellow. They don't even know, but they thought they knew something, okay? And that's just the old Chinese parable of the blind men standing around an elephant. One of them's got a hold of the trunk. He's insisting it's a great big snake. One's got a hold of the back leg. He's insisting it's a tree. And they're arguing about what it is, but none of them realize it's an elephant because they don't have all the information. All right, so we all do that to ourselves all the time. These videos, you can watch these videos at taxfreeyou.com and sellmybusinessnow.com. Now, the Sell My Business Now, very often business owners, when they sell the business, they want to keep the real estate because they want to keep the rental income. They're better off if they sell that commercial real estate, and I can help you acquire that. And when they use us to sell the business and defer the tax, they find out they're better off selling all of it, because the new owner of the business can get more SBA money at better terms if they're buying the real estate with the business. We have SBA lenders that help with that. And we can defer the tax on all of it. And anyway, so we can help you with that. The installment sale trust follows section 453 of the tax code. It's very simple. The trust documents are 9 pages, regular 12-point font. It's not even complicated. The installment notes 7 to 9 pages. The memorandum of understanding between the trustee and the seller is the longest document we got. It's not a complicated thing. Now, knowing all the little things not to do. You know, you've heard the old story of the Baptist minister and the Catholic priest and the rabbi all sitting in a fishing boat. And the priest stands up and just walks across the top of the water to go to the restroom and walks back and gets in the boat. A few minutes later, the rabbi stands up, walks across the water, uses the restroom, walks back and sits down on the boat. The Baptist minister can't figure out how they're walking on water. He can't do that. So he stands up, says a prayer, steps out of the boat, and down he goes. And the priest looks at the rabbi and says, "You think we should tell him where the rocks are?" So what do? We know where the rocks are. We're not walking on water. We just know where the rocks are. Okay. All right. So following 453, the installment sale part of the tax code, is not difficult. It does not increase your chances of an audit. In 18 years, I've never had a client get audited. 3,500 transactions. Either my advisors did them, I did them, somebody in my group did 3,500 transactions. No audits. We get letters from the IRS asking questions, usually because the escrow company didn't follow our instructions. They think they know better. All right. They didn't use the forms that we pre-fill out for them. So, and we answer the letter, the attorney answers the letter, and no audit. The reason is it's right here in the IRS publications, and these are the forms that are used. There's nothing to audit. You've already reported the whole transaction. It's reported in that year's tax return by the person selling. And it's just not even a difficult thing. But everybody panics. Oh my God, I don't want to do that. I might get audited. No. All right. So we will train the clients, the seller, CPA, and attorney. We have an 8-hour class where the CPA gets 8 hours continuing education. They have to be in one of 14 states, and they get credit for 8 hours training from us. So when I say we will train their CPA, I'm not kidding. We have a certified course that they get 8 hours training for doing that. All right. So it doesn't increase the chances of an audit. It's not a problem whatsoever. Most SBA transactions for the purchase of a business involve an installment sale with the seller, carrying back part of the sale. That's a required part. They have no problem with this whatsoever. All right. It works for residential property, commercial property. It replaces a 1031. If you guys are selling one property looking for another one, you can use us. Because with us, it's a 453, not a 1031. You buy the next property at full value. You do not carry over that low basis. And you direct the trustee what to buy. You get to redepreciate all over it. And you don't have a 45-day window or 180-day window. You can go shopping. Find that other poor guy who's following the 1031 and he's desperate. Because you don't have to stick to those if you do it our way. The sale of a business or other highly appreciated assets. I've done artwork, I've done patents, I've done a portfolio of notes, a guy that invested in notes. All right, because some of those were coming due and he was going to get a big pop. They had balloon payments. So I did a painting that looked like a third grader did it, sold for $5 million. I couldn't believe it. Some artist, don't remember. It wasn't a Jackson Pollock, it was something else. We did a $22 million coin and stamp collection. These rules apply whether it's an apartment building or a coin and stamp collection. It doesn't change. It's the same rules, okay? The seller, the trustee, and the buyer. The property is going to be sold to the same buyer either way. It just, the trustee is put in the middle. Now, most of you have seen a transaction where somebody owned a property inside a living trust, and they had to transfer it out to refinance it and transfer it back in, or they had to transfer it out of the living trust to sell it to the final buyer. It's the same step in the process. In fact, the steps in our process mirror a 1031 exchange, except once the money goes to the trustee, it's not going to an accommodator trustee, it's going to our fiduciary trustee. Once the money goes there, it just stays there until you direct him through the trust to invest in another investment, all right? And you pick another property to purchase. So the property goes into the trust, they get a note back, the note controls the trust. They can't be the trustee, violates an arm's length that has to be in the tax code, but the note does control the trust. The property sold to the final buyer, in escrow, the money comes into the trust and it gets invested. We have a standard investment model for the older landlords that just want an income stream with low risk. And the income from the trust is usually 30 to 50% better than the property, and the trust appreciates as well as the property would appreciate. All right. So we have a couple of ways of doing that. Or for the younger people that want to stay in the game, stay in the real estate game, these investments can be your syndication deals. So this person can exit, no longer have to be a landlord, because being a landlord's tough. All right. Especially if you're in California, where the courts love the tenants more than the landlords, right? You know, they literally say things like, well, you know, you can afford this to the landlord. What about the contract, all right? You know, so you can help that old landlord exit so they don't have to worry about this anymore because their kids live in other states and don't want to deal with it. You can acquire that property and then he can invest with you in other deals. He just directs the trustee as those are the investments he approves for his trust account, all right? He gets quarterly payments. We do quarterly payments out of the trust. The reason is that we only have to do the bookkeeping 4 times a year. That's how we keep our fees down. There's a whole series of things we do to keep our fees low. Our fees are 1% or less, depending on the size of the trust. They're never more than 1%. They're generally less. At $2.5 million in the trust, the fees are 85 basis points a year. And that's for all the accounting, all the advice, all the management, all right? At the culmination of the trust, it goes every 10 years. They can renew every 10 years or they can exit. So they're not trapped. They can exit early, although I've never had anybody do it. I have people talk about it, never had to do it. We've had children exit early and pull all the money out of the trust and fritter it away. So now we warn the parents about that. So they put rules in there so the kids can't do that to make sure the income continues for generations. All right. We do have kids that then go back into real estate. After mom and dad are gone, they then direct the trustee to invest in syndication deals. All right. Let me show you this other one here. This was an apartment building. Cost basis was down to $350. He did $75,000 worth of work to get it ready for sale. Made his new basis $425. He'd owned it for years. He depreciated it down. He was selling it for $2.56. All right. Expenses of the sale, $135,000 in commissions to a realtor and escrow fees. Capital gains, $2 million. He would have paid $732,000 in income taxes on that transaction, or do a 1031 or something else. It leaves him a net $1.267 million or $76,000 a year off of that 1.2. That same apartment owner using our services doesn't lose the 732. The whole $2 million lands in the trust. That's $120,000 a year plus appreciation. Now, both numbers are plus growth. But if you're starting the race that much farther down the track, How much faster, if you'd have paid the taxes and invested the money, are you going to have to run to catch up? You're probably not going to do it. All right. So it's a 57% better deal using us versus not using us. The trust earns several ways. It earns interest on the principal that goes into it. It earns interest on interest because the investments in the trust make more money than the quarterly payments we're sending. So there's a compounding effect there. Plus, it's earning interest on the deferred taxes for generations. This is money that would have gone to the state and the feds. Instead, it stays in the trust because it's not due yet until it's withdrawn. It's like your IRA, your retirement account. There's no taxes due till you pull it out. The money just keeps growing. Well, if that money stays in the trust, rather than being paid in income taxes, you continue to earn interest on it as long as you leave it in there. If you leave it in there for generations, generations can earn income on this. All right. So the compounding effect of that money, the 3 levels that it's earning interest, is huge. It's huge. We also have banks that will buy an insurance policy on the seller. I just insured an 83-year-old that was 5 years out from prostate cancer. He's been cancer-free for 5 years. He's insured. Who the hell would buy life insurance on somebody that age? A bank. Why? There's a $9 million death benefit on the policy. $4 million will go to his heirs. The rest goes to the bank. He's making no payments on the policy. He can buy the policy just because the trust exists. It creates what's called an insurable interest. His heirs will inherit the $2 million trust, whatever it's grown to at that time, the income that it's generating, an additional $4 million tax-free in addition to inheriting the trust. No step up in basis would ever match that. So that 80-year-old landlord is way better off selling. Now, his wife is 12 years younger than him, and she's made it clear the minute he's gone, she's selling the property either way. She doesn't want to deal with it. It is a property that needs new management. It needs repaired. It needs fixed up. It's had a lot of, the whole building needs replumbed. So it needs work. It needs a new owner. All right. And he doesn't want to take money out of his savings to put it back into the building. That's the other thing that happens. These old landlords have been living off that income, and now it needs a roof, it needs this, it needs that. They don't want to take money out of their savings and put it back into the building. They're living on that. They don't want to refinance it because then their net operating income goes down because they have this mortgage, right? And they're stuck. They're kind of in a white elephant position. The building needs a new owner, and we can help you be that new owner by offering this service to that old landlord. And that's just what happens. The stages in life, that's what happens, all right? Everything we do is fully transparent. Anything the client wants for transparency. Dual signature on all the investment accounts. All the bank accounts automatically are trust accounts that have dual signature. Nobody's Bernie Madoffing any money. I joke about that with clients, but the truth is there's no benefit for us to doing that. I don't want to live in Venezuela or Angola or somewhere I can't be extradited from. And I make more money managing all these trust accounts than doing any funny business, all right? So it's a very, very straightforward program, everything fully transparent. Plus, we're all registered advisors. We have malpractice insurance. We have fidelity bonds. Every time I sign my name, each signature is worth $6 million. If I make a mistake, the client will be made whole. It's never happened in 18 years. Knock on wood. I'm human, but it's never happened. But we carry a lot of insurance for that reason. We want to make sure that if we ever made a mistake, let's say the client got audited for following our advice and got a big tax bill, our insurance would pay. You know, they're covered. That's why I have such confidence about this. That's why I argue with CPAs when they give such bad advice. All right. And they say silly things like, oh, don't do that, you'll get audited. Why do you care? We'll pay for the audit and you will pass. So why do you care? All right. So it hasn't happened. We're not too worried about it. All we need is this one form. And then we generate something called a pro forma report that shows the client side-by-side columns of exactly how it'll work out. The math doing it, the math not doing it. This is an actual pro forma report. Their name was John and Mary. Last name wasn't Jones. And that is Los Angeles, and the zip code's correct. And it was Elm Street, just not 406 West Elm. All right. So they were 51% better off using us than keeping the property. But that property purchased by a new owner, redepreciating all over again with a mortgage and arbitrage, it's a great deal. It's just not as good of a deal for them because they've already depreciated it out. So what we do is we collect just this data, we generate this report. You want the old landlord seeing this report. You never share a report with them. You want them to see their report. And the reason is they can't unsee the numbers. Once they've seen them, they can't unsee it. All right. And I'll tell you who's going to do it. It's usually the wife. Wives tend to think farther ahead than men. They really do. They're thinking about what's going to happen after he's gone because he usually goes first. Why? Because we don't get checked by the doctor as often. So we don't catch things early, right? How are the kids going to be? How are the grandkids going to be? All right. So she's going to be wanting him to do something. All right. If she's thinking a little farther ahead, he's being stubborn. He's just going to keep doing what he's doing. Right. Well, she's going to look at this. She's going to look at that income. She's going to look at what the kids get. And she's going to look at the fact that they now have solutions if either one of them end up in a home or need care, because we don't know what those problems are going to be. So I help you get the deal. If they don't use us, neither one of us have a deal. All right. So use me to help you get a deal. Even if they don't use us, they decide to stay and do a 1031 to a DST or a REIT or something else, we still got them to engage because we come to them with a different proposition. We sound different than anybody else they're talking to. That'll get them to engage. All right. So out of these reports I do, only 1 in 3 follow through and use us. And that's okay with us. That's fine. That's fine. But you guys get deals that way. We have some apps that actually help you find tired landlords. Okay, and it'll send you 10 deals a day, 10 leads a day. These are landlords that got zoning problems and other problems. Okay, those are the ones you want to look for. That's compensation for brokers and realtors and how we split our compensation. So you can get paid something from our side as well. All right, but we need to talk to you about that. You guys are going to have questions. What are they?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Installment sells trust versus deferred sales trust. I was looking in the comments. Some people were commenting. It. Is there a difference between the two?
Yes, the trust structure is different. The agreements between the trustee and the note holder are very different. And write down these 3 things: Robert Binkley lawsuit. Robert Binkley lawsuit. Just Google that. You won't get through the first couple of pages. He's been successful bearing some of those. They don't have the same agreement with their trustees. They've been caught churning investments in the trust for the commissions to Robert Binkley. I'm actually an expert witness against them on a couple of the lawsuits. I'm an expert witness with FINRA on the security side against them. So their system would pass an audit on the front end. Their trust structure is different. Your guarantees are none. Your controls over what backs your note are none. All right. And they're about to be criminally prosecuted in California for financial elder abuse because they took money from some 80-year-olds that didn't understand what they were agreeing to. So we have none of that. Our trust documents are different. Our trust structure is different. Our note is different. Every client has every possible benefit in the note and in the trust without having to negotiate for it or even know it exists or hoping their attorney knows about it, because their attorneys don't do this for a living. They don't even know they could ask for certain things. Every one of ours gets all of that up front without even knowing they need to ask for it. You know, in business, I can be shrewd. You know, most of you, I'll probably take your lunch money. When somebody hands you their life savings, the rules are different. And this is somebody's life savings. Rules are different. All right. You have to act in their best interest. We have to act in their best interest over ours because we function as fiduciaries. So there are some other similar programs out there. None of them do these things. All right. Even a couple of them that are okay. Their fees are very high. None of them has fees as low as us. We actually have meetings once a year. They're always in February. A group of us meet in the group and we talk about how can we make the same but charge our client less. That's why we do quarterly payments, not monthly payments. Did you know that reduced our internal accounting and bookkeeping costs by 30%? We pass that savings on to the client. We're making the same, they're paying 30% less fees. So we're constantly thinking of ways of doing stuff like that. And that's how a fiduciary behaves. So, but is it different than a deferred sales trust? Yes, tremendously different.
Great. Reggie Hart, go ahead, Reggie.
Yes, I had a question. My question is, so when we're talking to sellers, I'm trying to figure out like what to be approach. Where would we be approaching them to approach you, or will we talk to you first? And how does that work?
If we buy your property, there's no 1031 required. Here's what you tell the seller. If we buy your property, there's no 1031 required. You get to keep the income. There's no taxes due at sale. We'll show you how to do it. It's been around for 50 years. It's not even new. And they'll be shocked. What is that? I never heard of that. By the way, this process is done like 5,000 times a year. Mitt Romney exited a company using this exact same process. $100 million tax-free. All right. And everybody said, oh, he had loopholes. He loopholes for the rich. By the way, you ever hear a CPA use the word loophole? Warn him once. There's no such thing as a loophole. A loophole is when you got a deduction, I didn't, and I'm envious of what you got, and it's a loophole. No, you're either following tax law or you're not. No such thing as a loophole, okay? So I warn them once, and the second time I start looking for a new CPA.
Wow.
So
Well, thank you very much for saying that, because boy, I get tired of hearing that word loophole.
A loophole is a political statement. I'm angry
Yeah.
that somebody got something I didn't. Is
Yeah.
what it boils down to. So you're either following tax code or you're not. If you're not, you're gonna pay. All right.
Right. Jennifer, go ahead, Jennifer.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Kevin, first of all, just to kind of go further on Reggie's question. So once we pique their interest, at that point, do we bring you on to help kind of do that report that we can show them?
Yes. Yeah. And then
Okay.
I'll have the conversations. I won't always have it. Our trustee will have it. A couple other advisors have it. Our tax attorneys will have it. Our tax attorney that represents us is published on this. He's published peer reviewed in Bloomberg on this exact topic. Okay. So incredibly credible people on our team. We'll talk to
Nice.
their advisors because their current advisors are just going to say no, because they just don't want them talking to somebody else because they might lose them as a client. All right. So we know how to head that off. I can kneecap a CPA and attorney that quick. So after 18 years, okay. But if they sell to you, no 1031 required, no taxes due on sale, you get to keep the income. Let's show you how to do that. Well, that piques their interest immediately because why are they not selling? Why are they holding on to this old building? Okay. And not raising rents because somebody might move. They're holding on to it because they don't want a 1031. They don't want to lose the income or pay the taxes. They don't want these things. We have a solution for all those things. Now, are all the people you refer to us going to do this? Well, obviously not. 2 out of 3 won't. But you still got them to engage. Also, in the information gathering, it uncovers a lot of information that's helpful to understand what it is you're buying. By the way, that document that generates that report does it through TurboTax. The tax numbers are accurate. So it's a special spreadsheet that actually interacts with TurboTax to do the calculations, even based on the state you're in.
You also mentioned about only certain states that you're able to do this in?
All 50 states.
All 50 states. Okay.
Oh, no. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But you as your company can do all 50 states as well.
Yes, and we're licensed in all 50. I'm Blue Sky licensed. So
Okay,
it
excellent.
doesn't matter
Thank
where
you.
they are. Yeah.
All right. Richard, go ahead, Richard.
Oh, hey, guys. I had a question. I have a property that I don't particularly like the space that it's in. It's a commercial property. It's an auto zone. And I 1031 into that, and it's got a very low basis.
Yeah.
So, Kevin, is that something I wouldn't mind getting into, say, as a tenant in common on a property, or go into a passive fund? So the property has some debt on it as well.
Yeah.
Is that something that could work for what you're proposing?
Yeah, you can do a 1031 with us once all the money's into, not 1031, excuse me. You can do an installment sale with us, sell it to somebody else, cash comes back to the trustee, and then you can pick and choose and diversify the things you want to invest in. You can call Daryl up and say, hey, that building you're syndicating over there, I want a piece of that. You can direct the trustee to invest in those things.
Because I don't like the fact that it's in one particular property, and that space is I know you're in California, we don't have a lot of electric cars out here, but that space isn't going to be around like Blockbuster in another 20 years, I don't think. That's the bad news, but it's good property
Yeah.
with other uses, but I don't like the space. Is there a limit? And I could find a buyer for this. That's what I do. I'm
Our limit is once the money's in the trust, you can't put it all in one thing. We'll put it in two. And there's a letter of warning to the note holder that you're not properly
when you say
diversified.
put it in one thing, what do you mean by, what does the thing mean?
Just say you sold a building and you net $2 million at close of escrow, that comes into the trust account. Say, give all $2 million to Daryl today on this one syndication project. The trustee's going to say no. That's
Okay.
not a good idea. Now, do you want to give $1 million to Daryl for one of his deals? Yeah. Then go find
So
another
you could,
deal for the other
you
1
could
million.
break
Maybe.
this up,
Yeah, you break it up and diversify it.
because that's what I want to do. Is there a
Yeah.
minimum gain or tax that this would make sense for?
We don't take trusts less than 500,000 because it's just our fees are so low. It's literally not worth having the client if there's less than 500,000.
So this property is probably worth $2 million if I sold it.
There you go.
But it has debt against it. Is
That's fine.
it? But it's more than that in terms of equity. So that would be something that would be worth looking at to call you.
Yeah. And we'll do the math and show you the implications of selling, how the math will work out. And then now you're not owning just one property. What are you gonna do if AutoZone files bankruptcy?
Well, that's why I'm talking about
You're
doing
stuck,
it.
right?
They're not going
Yeah.
to file bankruptcy, but they may close stores in the next 20 years.
Yeah.
And then I'm stuck with the vacancy with taxes that are 70 grand a year. And it's flip-flopped.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to happen as I'm getting older, obviously.
So now you can diversify, enjoy income from a trustee and just not have to deal with all that and probably have more income than you're currently enjoying.
Yeah, it's
And,
not, it's a 5 1/4. It's not a big cap rate. So
Wow.
I'll talk to you offline about this.
I
This
don't
is
know.
something,
I've looked at a couple of deals I've seen for you guys there and I'm like, wow, that's not bad.
who helps me
Yeah.
find the properties?
Well-
Is this group, Kevin?
This network here, I get so much stuff from you guys. I haven't even read all of it. I don't have time to read all of it, but I'm tell you what, I've seen some things come across my email here that's looking pretty
But I'm
interesting.
saying you don't advise
good.
me on the
Well,
properties.
Richard,
You just set it up.
Yeah, we'll help you with all of it. That's
Yeah,
that's our
here-
job.
Yeah, he'll hook you up, Richard. He'll hook you up.
Yeah, I'll talk to you,
But-
Daryl. I got to come
Yeah.
see you down and we're both in Jersey. I got to come
Okay.
out and drive over to you one day. You're not far.
Hey, no problem. We get some chicken wings and keep it moving.
Yeah,
Alright,
I'm always
okay.
hungry.
All right,
Anybody
let's let me jump to Bright. Bright the lolly.
Yes, sir. Yes. So my question is, do we need a trust in place before we
We do
start?
all of that. In fact, you don't write us a check for anything. You cannot write a check that creates the entity that then buys your asset. That violates arm's length. We create everything in advance for you. So you don't ever write us a check. Does that mean we create all this stuff sometimes and then the deal doesn't close or they decide to 1031 instead and we have to eat those fees? It happens a couple times a year. It's just part of the cost of doing business. But no, we create the trust or the special purpose vehicle if you want to use that. You're going to be doing some of the investing like with Daryl and stuff. You're going to want to use the SPL rather than the IST. For you, it functions the same way. It's just the operating agreement's different, and that gives a lot more freedom for the investing. So you have all the same security and transparency and controls. So, but
All right.
Yeah,
We got two more. We got two more people.
Right.
Mike, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. Kevin, you indicated that there's an opportunity for people to receive proceeds from an insurance policy. If you go back to the example you had, how would the insurance policy be piggybacked on that in terms of, I guess, showing them the potential advantages?
the policy's purchased over and above the trust, and the premiums to the policy are paid by one of 24 banks. Honestly, there's 3 that I prefer to use, just because I know the people and paperwork goes through faster. But then we use Pacific Life, Mass Mutual, and Penn Mutual. We use mutual companies. and the bank makes the premium payments and they have a lien against the policy. And that's done separate from the trust. But the simple fact that the trust or the SPL even exists and there's a note involved creates what's called an insurable interest under the tax law. So, and the bank buys these and holds the notes against the policies in their portfolio. A cash value insurance policy, a UL or a whole life, are a legal reserve instrument. And a bank can take a lien against those. So having a note against those is to a bank the same as having a note against a piece of real estate. So like Zion's Bank told me a couple of years ago, he says, hey, I got 14 staff managing 35,000 notes against insurance policies. I can't manage 35,000 mortgage with a staff of 14. He goes, the spread of my money on the insurance policy is better than the spread of my money in a mortgage. I said, so what are you telling me? He goes, every one of these we fund, these insurance policies we fund, you're increasing the profitability and the credit rating of my bank. Do you have any applications to submit, please? They're very happy to fund these. So we do it because we can. We do it because it offers something to the family, you know, because they're holding on to the properties. They want that step up in basis. They want the kids to inherit this. Doing it our way, at this point in their life, their heirs will inherit double, maybe triple what they would ever inherit otherwise. And it allows this property to get a new owner, put new life into the property, improve the neighborhood, improve the property. The older landlord can retire from being a landlord because their kids don't want to deal with it. They just don't. All right. I have a client right now selling 6 properties. Actually, he sold one. He's got 2 in escrow right now. And it was the kids that convinced him to do it because he's in his 80s. He's stubborn. He doesn't raise rent. He manages the properties too cheaply. All right. And the kids convinced him to do it because the kids just don't want to deal with it. All of them are in medicine. All 3 of them are in medicine. None of them live in California. They don't want to deal with it. They want him to sell it. So, and this way they inherit the trust. So they're still inheriting the same thing they would inherit from the properties. All right. And that is the income and the appreciation. They're just inheriting it differently. Now, would he have had $12 million to put into a trust had he not invested in real estate 30 years ago? No. Real estate investing is awesome. That's how they created all this wealth. But at his station in life, at his point in the timeline, it's a better position for him to be in. And now new owners on these properties will renovate them, clean them up, rent them out at market rates, improve the neighborhood. So it's a good deal for all sides.
Felipe, go ahead, Felipe, ask your question.
Yes. First of all, thank you for sharing this method. But so I hear a lot of the pros, but I'm wondering what are some of the cons of this method? Because I only hear the benefits of this method. Are there any cons that one should keep in mind?
One of the cons is if you want to exit the trust or the SPL completely and go back into real estate, that is difficult. We have to find an accommodation. Let's say you want to just leave any relationship with us, take your money and go back into real estate. We can, because of the tax forms and everything that memorialized what your basis is and your terms coming in. It's right in the tax returns on the year that you sold. If you want to go back in directly into real estate, in other words, not buy it through the trust or the SPL, go back in. I have some accommodators, 1031 accommodators that know how to do that and are comfortable doing it that I'll refer you to. But it is difficult. Then you go back to the front, you leave us, we liquidate everything, it goes back to an accommodator. In other words, we take the note, you take your note, you give it to the accommodator. And then you have 45 days, 180 days once that transaction happens. And you can do that. So but if you want to do that, and a lot of people that are, real estate investors don't want anybody else having any controls over any of their money. They're they're that way. That is a con. Now, you don't have to do that though. You can direct the trustee to make a down payment on a property and buy another property and just continue to use us. And as you're aging, to have us as fiduciary advisors over those assets has some advantages. I currently have clients that I'm working with the children because the remaining parent has dementia. Can't agree to anything. Can't sign a contract. Doesn't know what's going on. Or is in a home. I have a gentleman down in Carlsbad, has Alzheimer's. Known him many years. I've gotten to know his children now. All right. So so I would say it's an advantage having us there as you age. Okay. But the con is if you want to ditch us and go back into managing everything yourself, to go back to the accommodator and back into real estate, it is it's cumbersome. You can do it. It's a lot of work.
Okay,
Thank you.
Lacey, go ahead.
I'm gonna get confused asking this question, but I'm assuming it's probably been asked before.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
seems easier to do this through like off-market properties direct to the seller. Is there a solution or a way you can do this with on-market properties with a broker to kind of
Yes,
recommend this?
Give me the address. I will contact the owner and keep the broker out of the conversation. The current real estate broker doesn't want him talking to anybody for any reason. He's going to tell them no, no, no. He'll even lie to them because he's terrified he's going to lose a commission.
Right.
And he wants them trapped in a 45-day window and a 180-day window because he wants that second commission. All right.
Okay.
And so I've seen him literally lie to people to do that. So I will engage the owner. Just tip me off to the property. We will circumvent. Now that realtor has a contract and he deserves to be paid his commission. That's the contract. That's what they agreed to. He finds a buyer. I'm not trying to cut him out. All right. What I'm saying is I will go directly to the owner and talk to the owner. And I'm pretty good at that. And my staff's pretty good. Morris and Christian and Brandon and Alan, our staff, Micah. Micah's really good. She's very good with people. So we will go directly to the owner and negotiate a different deal. And then the realtor will just receive instructions and which he either follows or he gets fired, one or the other. So, and I've seen contentious deals and you can break the contract and fire a realtor a lot easier than most people realize you can. So being I used to own a brokerage, I can tell you exactly how to do it. So
All right. Last one is the last person will be Roger. Roger, go ahead.
Kevin, thank you for the information on the program. My question is, as an investor, does it make sense to come to you and set up a trust and invest from a trust? Is that
if you're flipping, if you're a flipper and you're paying those short-term gains flipping properties, all right, I have quite a few folks that are doing that. And they're just deferring the tax, and they only take income from the front end of the trust. And all that other gets deferred. The gains get deferred. They're only paying tax on the actual income they took to live on. And you would not be the first that's doing that.
What would it cost to set that up also, Kevin, please, while you're talking about it?
About 10 grand, set it all up.
Oh, so you don't have to have a certain amount of money or put capital into it. You just set up a trust and you operate.
We would do that upon one of your sales when you go to sell something.
I see.
So there needs to be $500,000 or more of assets in the trust, but what does it cost to set it all up? About 10 grand.
I see. How do we get in touch with you in the future, Kevin, please?
KevinBrunner.com. There's access to my calendar right there. Just click on it and set a time.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Kevin,
Right,
please put your contact information in the chat so that way people could get in contact with you, because this was a lot of information. A lot, I'll tell you, a lot. That definitely flew over my head.
No,
But
no,
but-
it's not that difficult. It's I carried a 3.4 in college, so it can't be that difficult, right? But I drank less beer at it. If I'd drank less beer, I'd have done better. But
it's definitely an excellent program. I like that.
Yeah, it's kevinbrunner.com. I just put my cell number in there as well. We'll help you with a deal. If at any point in the conversation with the seller that this is confusing the deal or muddying the waters, watch how quick I just back off and wait for you to tell me to come back. It's your deal. And I want somebody getting a deal. All right. So you might owe me in and out. Those of you from California know what in and out is. Double, double. Love a double, double. So, no, we don't want to muddy the water. We don't want to cloud the deal. If it's not going, we'll just back off. because we want you to get the deal one way or another. If we're adding value or helping you find deals, we want to help you find deals and add value. There's a lot of old landlords out there that have zoning problems, have this problem or that problem, that if they just knew there was a way, they would. They just don't know.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Listen, Kevin, I'm gonna tell you, this was a lot of information. I really appreciate your coming. I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you
so much. You know, I'm definitely going to reach out to you. I want to talk with you a little more so I could get a better understanding. But I liked what I was hearing. And
we want to talk to you guys about some of your deals out there and how the trust, how our trust can invest. Some of our existing trust clients can invest. So,
well, that's one thing I would like to talk with you about, in reference to some of the investment opportunities that we have, where maybe we can work together. So, but I'll talk with you offline about that to see if it could work.
some of these I'm interested in with my own money as well. So
that's a good thing. Thank you very much.
I don't like being a landlord. So if I can just invest and somebody else has to deal with the tenants that tell you the checks in the mail and everything else. All right. Listen to their sob stories, you know. I had a bunch of properties in the 90s and I sold them all in a single transaction, and doing exactly what I'm doing now. I just didn't know that's what it was at the time. So I actually did this personally. I sold 43 properties, all single family homes I'd bought. I sold them all in one transaction to one buyer, doing exactly what I do now. But I know something now. My CPA that did that for me in 97 didn't do it correctly. Had I been audited, I would have lost.
Really?
Yeah, I now know he didn't do it correctly. So, but see, I didn't know that then, and I was never audited, thank God. And then I put all that into a commercial redevelopment project in an old town area of a small town, and then later exited that. And the money is still in the trust. It's all still in the trust, invested in other ways. So
fantastic.
All right, thanks.
So, but I want to say thank you, Kevin. If you can hang around, please do. I'm not going to go into breakout rooms today, everyone. So this is the last mastermind meeting for the year. And I'm still going to stick around for an additional 30 minutes after 12:30, because, you know, I always like to be available to you so you can get to know me and I could get to know you. But this year is coming to an end. And the one question that I'm hearing a lot is, what's next? Where do you go from here? Where are we going to go from here? When we come back in January, I know the commercial multifamily mastermind is going to have a whole new attitude. Because we're looking at taking things to a higher level. You know what I'm saying? You know how you raise your hand up, raise it up like that? That's what we're looking at doing. Raising the sky is the limit, baby. We plan on going higher. I'm telling you right now. Alicia Milton said on one of her videos, her goal is 2,000 doors by end of next year. What is your goal? I told Alicia I'm with her. I'm with her. I'm increasing my 1,200 to 2,000. Next year, 2,000 units, 2,000. Now, we still have 4 days left to this year. 4 days. I'm asking everyone, when you get off this meeting, I'm asking you, I'm challenging you to call the brokers in the market that you're in. Call them and say, listen, I want to take this year out with a master blaster. Send him your criteria and tell him to send you what he has. And underwrite it. Now you got 4 days. I mean, you got to work quickly. You got to underwrite it, make sure the numbers are right, and submit an LOI. Now, all of you are able to contact me. You can. If you want me to run over the underwrite, let's do it. But let's submit it. Let's at least get one more property under contract before December 31st. Let's close out the year on high, right? On high. Now, December 16th, we closed on the Dayton deal. Let's close on one more. And let's start focusing on our goals for next year. Yesterday, I sat down, I took my vision out, and I started updating my vision. Some of my vision came to pass. I have my mentorship program, and I'm going to be pushing my mentorship program heavy next year. If anyone's interested in being mentored by me, reach out to me. My focus in my mentor program is about underwriting. But you're going to work because we're looking at taking properties down. It is an action taking thing. I'm not the type of mentor that says to you, well, you know, you got to put the work in yourself and you got to do it. And then leave you off into doing what you're going to do. No, we're doing work. You're going to be doing work. So let's do this. Let's get this done. I'm going to stick around for another 30 minutes. I know some of you going to have to leave, if y'all can hang around, we could take this last meeting out with a big number, because with a big number. But this way we could finally end this year with us getting to know each other. We could ask each other questions, and we could do it. Listen, we're going to need each other. We're going to need Kevin Brunner, right? We're going to need Lacey. We're going to need Alicia. We're going to need each other to get these deals done. As a team, we can take down any deal. Any deal. The acquisition summit, Alicia and I are working hard on getting that thing up and running. And if you want to get in on that, come on. Come to Arizona, April 3rd, 4th, and 5th. I'm gonna repeat that. And for those who have the closed captioning, you could save your closed caption, right? April 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Phoenix, Arizona, Acquisition Summit. We're going round by round, pound for pound. And we're taking something down. All right. Day 1, underwrite. Day 2, bus tour. Day 3, submitting LOI. This is the fast track for the Goya Challenge that's going to be launched from the GOB in February. If you're not familiar with the Goya Challenge, that's where the Dayton came from. We were Goya team. We were the team number 1. So now we pumped, we hyped, we taking the E out good, and now we're ready. So it's 12:28. I'm going to shut the mic off, and I want to thank all you for coming to the last meeting of the year. And if you could stick around for another 30 minutes, we're going to shut the mic off, and this where people could just ask questions and they could just do whatever you want. The ladies, all the ladies in here, ask Alicia about the women's group. Ask Alicia about the women's group. If you're not familiar with the women's group, the GOB Queens, that's an excellent program. She's teaching. She's doing her thing. And she's action taking. She's going to put you on the deal. She's going to put you in the deal. I'm telling you right now, ladies. Listen, talk to Alicia. I'm going to tell you right now. All right, gentlemen, you got to talk to me. We're going down. We're going to take things down. It's 12:29. Listen, I'm fired up. I'm fired up. You know what I'm saying? I don't drink no coffee. I ain't taking no drugs. I got my water here, my big bubba. But I'm fired up. I'm telling you right now. I'm ready for 2023. And I want each and every one of you to come right along with me. And you know I do. I want you all to come with me. Whether if you're LP, GP, if you want to be a sponsor, you have the network for liquidity, I want you. Let's do this thing. I want to thank you all for coming. I know it's 12:30 now, and you all have supported me in every way. You all helped me get this deal, the Dayton deal. You helped the team get the Dayton deal across the finish line. I want to thank you all. And for the ladies who still want to get in on the Dayton deal, reach out to Alicia. With as little as $5,000, you could get in on the Dayton deal. Well, you just reach out to Alicia. I'll let you talk to her about it. I'm about to screw the thing all up. Right? With as little as $5,000, talk to Alicia. If you want to be educated through her program, and you can get in on the Dayton deal. And that's a fact. All right. Thank you all very much. I will see everyone back here next year, 2023. I'm going to stick around for another 30 minutes. If you can stick around, let's stick around. Let's talk some more. Let's get to know each other a little more. But I'm going to stick around for another 30 minutes. But I'm going to cut the mic off. That way we can free flow. And you ain't got to worry about nothing. Take it easy, everyone. See you back here next Tuesday in January, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Commercial Multifamily Masterminds. We are a member of the GOB. Thank you.